Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, inshallah. Today is going to be video number 6, and we are continuing with our Tajweed rules. Okay, so today we're going to be working on rule number 4, I should say, or rule ikhfa haqiqi. Let's go ahead and put it on the board here. I'll write in Arabic and I'll write in English as well. Ikhfa. And then ikhfa. Okay. What does it mean? Ikhfa means it's like a hidden sound. Okay, to hide. Hide. Okay. Now we've got 2 different types of ikhfa, and depending on the letters, which we're gonna cover right now, we're gonna have the ikhfa is gonna have a ghunna in it, which is a nasal sound. So based on the letters, the nasal sound either gonna be heavy or it's gonna be light. So we have the first one is heavy ghunna, and then the second one is light ghunna. Okay, so what are the letters that when we come across that it's going to be a heavy sound? So remember, always keep in mind that when we're talking about these rules, we're always dealing with noon and the tanweenat that comes after it. So all right, so always keep that in mind. We have to deal with noon and then plus these kind of tanweenat that comes that we have to apply these rules. Okay. All right. So the heavy ghunna, what are the letters? It's going to be, let's see, we have, yeah, you guys can see it. I'm going to write it here. It is kha, and then ghain, and then we have slad, bod, ba, and ra. So those are the letters that when I'm missing one, sorry, off. When we come across these letters and we're dealing with this at the same situation, then this is where the ikhfa becomes heavy, okay? And then the whole rule to describe this also is, remember we talked about idgham kamil bi ghunna to haraka, or idgham naqis bi ghunna, whatever, to haraka. So in this situation also we have ikhfa, which is a hidden sound, but then there is going to be a ghunna sound. So it's going to be ikhfa bi ghunna. And it's going to be for two beat or 2 counts. Remember we talked on the last video, we said B means with, and then ghunna is the nasal sound that when we hold the letter, the nasal sound comes out. All right, so let's go ahead and inshallah give some examples of the heavy ghunna when we come across, and then how we recognize, first of all, ghunna, ikhfa, and then how do we recite it. Okay, and then we're going to give example of the noon and also a tanweenat with in this category. So the first letter that I'm going to write, go ahead, the example is it's young, right? So we have that, and then I'm going to write another example here. Okay. All right, so we've got our focus here is what you're looking for. And these rules important because you can understand all the names of the rules, like this is this, but we also need to be able to, when we come across it, know in this situation what we're going to do or how are we going to read it. So what are we looking for in these situations? So our focus is noon. So we find the noon. This is our noon right here. And we see that on top of the noon, there's nothing. It's bare. So in this rule, the noon is always going to be bare, meaning that there's nothing on top of it. It's open. There's nothing. There's no sukun on it. There's no other harakat or vowel signs. So in that case, then you know that you have to read this in this way, that this is ikhfa. All right, so here's the noon. There's nothing on it. And here's, again, noon. There's nothing on top of it. So in these situations, this is the rule that applies. So we read this as ikhfa bi ghunna, 2 haraka, but this is going to be a heavy ghunna. Why? Because now right after the noon, we have the letter wa. And in this case, after the noon, we have the letter ta. And then we said these are the letters that when we come across with the combination, then we do a heavier ghunna. All right, so how do we read this in this situation? We read it as yanzuru, yanzuru. See, the noon is already, the ghunna is heavy because the next letter is dha. Dha itself, it's a heavy letter. It's pronounced heavy. So therefore, the ghunna becomes heavy because you're getting ready to pronounce the dha. So it's see, it's yanzuru. It's like you're getting it elevated. You know, the mouth goes up, the tongue goes higher. So you're pronouncing because you're getting ready to pronounce the letter wa. Same thing, the makhraj for wa and wa is in the same place. It's very close. So therefore, when you come across the noon and these letters, it's automatically, you're just like elevating the tongue. So it's yanzuru, and then this one you're gonna read it as man. Yeah, you know, so it's not flat. It's up. Okay. And then I'm going to also write down here the examples when we have to deal with the tanweens in this situation, with the one of these letters. Okay, so we have عذابا. Let's see if I can fit that in here. Qari. And then the next one combination is قيمة. Okay. All right, so now we have, let's see if we can highlight the areas that we need to be focusing on. So here's the tanween. And then right after that, we have the letter qaf. And then here's the tanween. And then right after it, we have the letter qaf. So this just happened to be for qaf and qaf. And it could be any of these letters that if it come after this. But so in this situation, because qaf is one of those heavier letters, so the ghunna, the ikhfa, the holding, you know, it becomes heavier. The ghunna comes heavier. So ikhfa is basically, you're kind of like hiding the sound, but yet the ghunna comes out, right? So we read it as عذابا عذابا. See, عذابا قريبا عذابا قريبا. Because qaf is heavy, So you gotta have the ghunna up high already because you're getting ready to pronounce qa. عذابا قريبا. Okay, and same way here we have kutubun, kutubun qayyima, kutubun qayyima, right? So this is, you're holding it, hiding the sound, the ghunna comes out in these situations. It's always you're dealing with a tanwinat and the noon or the meme situation. Okay, so this was the example for heavy ghunna, ikhfa bi ghunna, two haraka. So if you were to describe the rule, like if someone asks you, so what rule is this? You would describe this as ikhfa bi ghunna, two haraka, and then you can say it's a heavy ghunna. Why? Because right after the noon or the tanween, one of these letters show up. So you have to elevate the tongue, and the ghunna, it automatically just becomes heavy. All right, so inshallah, I'm gonna go ahead and erase the board, and then we will come back and give examples of the lighter ikhfa. Okay, so now we have the example. We're gonna give the example for the light ghunna. Same thing that has to do with the noon. First, we give the example with the noon. Fa man. That's one category, and then I'll give another one. Andar. Andar. Nakum. Okay. So this is the example for the noon, and then now we're gonna give example for the tanween. Ka'san. Ka'san biha. And then also يومئذ شأن. Okay. All right. So let's highlight what we need to focus on. So here's our noon. There's nothing on top. And then here's another noon. There's nothing on top. Now notice in these situations, what's followed after that, it's not a heavy letter anymore. So these are the heavy letters. So we see here that sheen is not one of those letters. Here we see that dal is not one of those letters. Okay, so then we're gonna be reading this lightly. And same thing here, we have tanween followed by dal, which is, that's a lighter letter. And then again, we have tanween followed by sheen, which is a lighter letter. So yeah, let's just kind of highlight these so we know. So now we have the example for the tanween for the noon, and then we have the examples for the tanweens as well, and how do we recite it in this case. Okay, so we read this as فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَمَنْ شَاءَ. See how فَمَنْ, it's lighter. I'm not saying فَمَنْ, it's فَمَنْ, it's lighter. فَمَنْ شَاءَ, right? And then this one, أنذرناكم أنذرناكم. See the noon, the ikhfa is, it's light. I'm not reading it as أنذرنا. It's no, it's أنذرناكم. It's lighter because that is, it's a lighter pronounced letter. All right. And then when we come to the tanween, we read it as وكأسا وكأسا دهاقا وكأسا دهاقا, right? And then يومئذ يومئذ شان. So this is light. It's not يومئذ. It's not elevated. It's, you keep it low. يومئذ شان. Okay, so it's really, inshallah, that's, it's not that complicated. We just need a little bit more practice. It's always good if you're by yourself and you don't know. It's good to, you know, share with someone if there's somebody in your house, anybody, siblings, whatnot, spouses, that you can probably ask them to listen to you, to see if they can tell the difference when you're saying it, because sometimes when we are saying it, we don't see our own mistakes. So it's better to have someone else listen and make sure that you're doing it properly. And of course, there's always other, you know, places where you can, they teach you all of the makharij for the letters, which are the heavy letters, which are the light letters, all of these things. So that's also something that you might want to look into if this is all becoming too challenging for you. Inshallah, maybe you can start a little bit on the lower levels to, you know, bring yourself to this level. But if you can catch this and if you get it, great, that's fantastic. So we just keep moving. So anyways, this is it for this rule. So this rule would be ikhfa bi ghunna to haraka, meaning that it's a holding sound. We hold it for 2 beats or 2 counts, and then automatically the ghunna is coming out, the nasal sound is coming out. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and erase the board and I will be right back, inshallah. All right, I wanted to go ahead and probably give a couple more examples, inshallah, from the Qur'an. This is going to be again from Surah Al-Fil. There's something, it says tarmihim biharjar. So I'm just going to start from here. So this way it also helps us with two rules that we've covered so far. So it's biharjar بحجارة من سجيل. Sorry. And then it stops there. Okay, so if we look at this, oh, it's getting dark. Okay, so if we look at this, بحجارة, several, I think a couple of the rules that we've studied so far applies here. So we have tanween here. Now we come across this tanween. Right after that, we have the meme with shadda on it. We have tanween followed by meme mushaddada. Let me erase this because there's too many lines. So we have tanween followed by meme mushaddada. So we said this would be idgham kamil bi ghunna. It's a complete merging with a nasal sound, and we hold it for 2 beats. So how we read this? بحجارة من بحجارة من. Now here we have the noon. This is the noon, that the rule that we're just covering right now. So there's noon, there's nothing on top of it. So this, after this, then this rule applies here. And so this becomes ikhfa bi ghunna to haraka. So we hold it as min. See, the sound just comes from the nose, and it's light because right after that we have the letter sin, which is not one of the heavy letters. So it's going to be a light ikhfa. So when we read the whole thing, it will be بحجارة من سجيل. بحجارة من سجيل. Okay, this is a different rule that applies here, but we're going to cover this later on, inshallah. But for now, we're just focusing on these two things. So, and you would describe this to someone. So this is the rule. إضغام كامل بغنة تو حركة. This one becomes إخفاء بغنة تو حركة. All right. So that was one example that had both of those, and I'm trying to see if I can find shorter ones that yeah, so we have another one here. Oh, we can still see it. Yeah. This is on salatihim. And then it goes on. Of course, there's always something before and after. So in this case, we have the letter, the word an. So here we have the noon. There's nothing on it. And we have swad right after that. So swad is one of these letters that's heavy. The makhraj is it's elevated. When you're saying swa, your tongue goes way up. Swa, the sides go up, so it's like it's tight. So in this case, this is gonna be ikhfa bi ghunna, but it's gonna be a heavier ghunna. So how are we gonna read it as عن صلاتهم عن صلاتهم. The noon, it just picks up a heavier ghunna because we were getting ready to pronounce the swad. In this case, it was light. من عن صلاة. So there's not a whole lot of difference, but yes, but there's difference. Okay, in this case, it was light because it's followed by sin. In this case, the noon, it's going to be heavier because of the swad that's coming after that. All right, let me clean the board, and inshallah, I will be right back. All right, so another rule that we want to cover here is the rules for the lam when we come across the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the word Allah. So when we come across the lam with lafzul jalala. Okay, so let's put here rules of lam. Of the exalted name of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. This one, we have two type. We have the heavy, and then we have light as far as pronunciation, right? Okay. Anytime that there's going to be a fatha or a dhamma, it's going to be heavy. Excuse me. And then if there's a kasra, it's going to be light. So let's just give examples of what I'm talking about here. So let's focus on the first one. First of all, it's good to probably know when we say the name of Allah. So in Arabic, we say Lafzul Jalala, meaning the exalted name. Al Zul Jalala. Okay. Al-Lafzul Jalala, meaning that Jalala, it goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then loves, it's the pronunciation. Okay, so when we describe the rules, so when we come in this situation, then we say it as Lafzul Jalala Thaqil, meaning that it's heavy, or it's a heavy pronunciation, or Lafzul Jalala Khafif, meaning light. So we have Thaqil, Thaqil, and then Khafif. Okay. Thaqil means heavy, and then khafif means light. So this is how we will describe when we come across these situations. So let's give examples first for the heavy one. In what situations do we read it as heavy? Okay. Yasha. And then Naka. I'm sorry, this is not supposed to be there. La. Humma. There's that. Okay. Yeah, we can. There. Let's just put spaces between them so we know that they're separate things. Okay. And I will highlight what we're talking about. So when I said there's a fatha or dhamma, then it becomes heavy. So here we have a fatha, a fatha, a fatha here on all of these words. So right before the lafzul jala, the name of Allah, before there's a fatha. So in this case, we read it as heavier pronunciation. So we read it as wallahu, wallahu. See, Allah, wallahu. Yasha Allahu, yasha Allahu. And then here, subhanaka Allahumma, subhanaka Allahumma, because we have the fatha, and then we are going to Allahumma. This is also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's, the way we refer to, when we say Allahumma, this is saying that, Ya Allah. And then, so this is because of the fatha, it gets elevated for the pronunciation. Now, let's just give a few examples in the situation when we have to read it kind of flat, not too high. This would be with a kasra, and then it's Okay. So let's highlight. Here's a kasra, here's a kasra, and then here's a kasra right before the name of Allah is pronounced. Okay. So in this case, we're going to read it as billahi. Billahi. See how it's light and flat? Billahi. We can't say billahi. That would be incorrect because you cannot elevate it. You have to keep it flat. Billahi. In this situation, lillahi. Lillahi. Here, dinillahi. Nillahi. Dinillahi. So it's flat. You cannot say dinillah. You can't even say it because you have to work even extra hard to say it that way. But you can't. So it's dinillahi, lillahi, billahi, right? But in this situation, wallahu, yasha Allahu, subhanaka Allahumma, right? That's how we do it, inshallah. All right, this was kind of separate from, this is all, of course, is part of our Tajweed rules that we have to understand how to read this. But it was kind of like aside, separate from all of our idghamat that we've been studying. So I just wanted to make sure I won't forget talking about this because, of course, this is very important as well. All right, inshallah. So we will go ahead and stop this video here because I don't want the videos to become too long, and then, I don't want it to become a little bit boring. So we want to keep it short, inshallah, so it goes faster and it keeps it interesting. All right, and then on the next video, inshallah, we're going to be talking about, I think, rules of meme. So we have other rules that apply to that, and then we'll go from there. All right, until next video, assalamu alaikum.